You're saying people want to be heard, exactly that. So when you say straight away, yeah, but it just shows to the other person, I wanted to squash what you were saying, and I want to go on to what my topic was.
Today I had a lesson from a client, a sales lesson, something that I'm frustrated with because I messed up, but we have another opportunity. So I get a call, it's a hospital, it's going to be for doctors. Can we train them on communication skill? Can we help them? Did my selling, I thought I did a good job, but 3 months later we heard nothing back. Was that our fault? Partially, yes. Why? We didn't reach out to the client again. I went for that meeting and I had 0 touch points with the client afterwards to say, great meeting you, hope everything went well with post meetings. And that led us to have this 3 or 4 month now blank moment where we did nothing. And they went to another previous client we worked with, heard about us again, and then called us up and said, oh, we have a new opportunity for you, Neil. The last one didn't work out, but we'd love to have you in for a second meeting and discuss how this could work. I could have been all on that 2 months ago, but it's so important that we touch back with our clients, connect with them, and make sure they are okay with what we gave them in that sales meeting. And so I might be what's deemed as a fairly good presenter, communicator, but what I lack on something I want to work on, and if you've got advice for me or what you use, because we're going to have it with our team more and more, touch points with your clients. So important. Because we all say, live your passion, have your passion. Guess what my passion is? I want to be a Formula One racing driver. It's never gonna happen. But this is a part of my job that I love because I get to travel so much. Today we're going to Boston, and on the way to Boston, instead of flying, normally I fly everywhere, I said, let's drive. And on the lot, the car that I could choose, I don't even think the team at Hertz even know this car. This is a Camaro SS. Now what they don't know about the SS is it's not a regular Camaro. It's a Camaro with a V8 engine in, plus of 400 horsepower. Woo-hoo! I shouldn't really be doing that, but can't help it. This is the dream part of my job that none of my clients know about until now. All right, we're at our first pit stop on this long road trip to Boston. I'm gonna hand over now. Rupert's gonna do the driving. Can you cycle around Manhattan quicker or driving in a V8? For all my Top Gear fans, this is something I'd love to be a part of. So here's the challenge. I'm on my bicycle, or as my grandfather would say, cycle, and Rupert is in the V8 Camaro. Let's see. You hear that? Oh God, the whole car's vibrating. That's a scary sound. So here's Rupert. Rupert, you gonna beat me? What do you think? Can you be in Manhattan?
I'm definitely gonna lose.
That's called V8 ridiculous power versus pedal power. Who's gonna win, pedal power, or is it gonna be the V8? Let's see. He's gaining on me. Ah. Damn it, that V8. What's going on, bro? I was waiting here the whole time for you. Clearly, I won this challenge. You can't beat a cycle no matter how fast your engine. And I look at it the same way. Even though this thing is a beast. The big question is, what do you do with it? All right, what do you have to say, Mr. Sore Loser? Losing in a V8?
It still felt good.
I'm sure it did.
Just leaving you at a moment's notice.
Good to meet you here. Catching me just as I'm coming out of the training. I knew he was going to be waiting for me. This is one of those moments that I focus on rewinding what I went through in the day. But today's session was focused primarily on this area in communication of how to be natural. And when we talk about being natural, it's a skill set that we try and focus on, but when we're asked to do a presentation, that's when we're not natural anymore, because we feel as though everyone's watching us, everybody's going to be focusing on these extra things that we're doing that normally they won't. Now, in reality, we're always presenting. So if we can start to refrain from saying, oh, I'm only on when I need to be on, that way it doesn't become a stress when I actually have to present. So today with different individuals, we went through some exercises. Here was one, and this was on the area of when I communicate with a person, can I make sure that I'm being dynamic with my words? Because every time I speak, constantly they're disengaging with me. Constantly their eye contact is looking at their phone or their notes instead of me. And this is an aspect where if you're dynamic on 2 words per sentence, you can start to bring that out. In future series, I'm going to talk more about what that is. But if you catch this sentence I'm saying now, you'll realize I emphasized 2 words. What were they? Catch and now. I had to think about it a little bit, but naturally, I just did it there. Naturally, I emphasize the word, and that pulls in the audience when I'm speaking with them. So anytime you're talking and you want to be dynamic and natural in that state of conversation, you want to make sure that you're emphasizing 2 words per sentence. Let's take a look outside because I've been inside all day. It's rainy here, we're in Boston. We're at Custom House. It used to be an old government house. And we're gonna go outside because apparently the view is epic here. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Ooh, it's rainy here in Boston. Not what I wanted to experience checking out the weather, but this view is epic. One of the things I would love to do would be to be on the water, not in the water as I am right now. But something that makes me think about everything I go through with clients is what do they do after the training? And so one of the most important things is how do you put the reps on? So actually now, why don't we go to the gym and talk about how do we make sure, because it's way too rainy up here, how do we make sure after we work on our communications, do we make sure that we're doing it after that session? Because it's the private practice that makes it so much more important. I know this is super cheesy right now, but I had to do it. I didn't get my workout today, so I decided, why don't I work out in a suit? Not the greatest idea, because I'm gonna be sweaty. Sweaty Betty, as we used to say in England, but here's the most important thing. At least 3 times a day, there's an opportunity for you to focus and practice on one of your communication pieces. If that's your volume, your pitch, your pace. If we're talking about what are you doing with your hands when you're talking. If we're using too many disfluencies and saying too many times, how do we make sure we limit those? This is where that same mentality of the gym really helps. And so you practice, you go to the gym daily. We need to do the same with our communication. When you've got a communication piece that you think, I want to get good at this, not just during the meeting, is to think about your reps. 3 times a day, we said. If that's for 20 seconds, for 30 seconds, you focus and say, I want to make sure I'm using my hands appropriately. I want to make sure I'm not saying, like, whenever I'm speaking. Today was that focus with the clients we were working with. Can you practice this at least 3 times a day? When are those 3 times? Let's think. What's the first one for the day? What's the first rep that you can be doing? That first rep should be focused on a first meeting you have, a conference call, something that's at the beginning of your day that you're going to have a conversation with someone, and in the first 30 seconds, you should practice on one behavior. If that one behavior is, let me not say at the start of this meeting or call, do that in the first meeting. Training rep number 2. You want to make sure that you now have, sometimes either just before lunch or just after lunch, you're going to find a meeting or a conversation with someone that for another 20 to 30 seconds, you're either going to focus on the same behavior. So if that's getting rid of you want to make sure you're doing that for around 20 to 30 seconds. Have that conversation with yourself before that second meeting of the day. The third time you want to practice this is at home. So once you get home, you practice 2 times in the workplace. That means the first meeting, the second one was another meeting or a conference call. The third time should be a practice at home, because that's when your nature, energy, feelings are going to be different. This is why it's so important that we're always presenting and we always think to ourselves, I want the best version of me to come out when I communicate. That best version of you can only be brought out consistently if you practice being you in every communication setting. That's why the third practice has to be when you come home and you're now relaxed. You could be going to dinner, but somewhere where you're more relaxed. The work pressures aren't on you, but your communication should be at that high level. So where does that exist? Again, 30 seconds. You don't have to tell the people at dinner what you're doing, but you should be focused on one of the behaviors that we've spoken about. So if that's your hands, your eye contact, what you're doing with your voice, this is where you're gonna maximize your communication skill sets. And no matter when you're communicating, you're always at the best level you can be. All right, we made it back to New York. Goodbye Camaro SS. It was a nice drive. Rupert didn't kill me. I will see you on the next trip. See ya.